So let's take a look at this clown. Now this is from a cereal called Rice Crinkles. I used to eat this back in 1965. 65, 66. I was a little tiny kid. I remember eating this cereal. Didn't know about the clown then. I know about him now. So let's take a look at this picture. First of all, here's the clown on the package. Clown represents the jester represents the joker represents Saturn. Okay? Second, post. Post is a pillar. It's a post. It isn't posts, it's post. It's one. Here, he's got what he's beating the drum with. Look where it's at. It's right about where a guy's dick would be, because that's a phallic symbol that's always associated with Saturn. Okay? Then you got the creepy clown hiding the one eye. The one eye, this represents that we only, it's referring to us, that we are only seeing one side of what's going on. Where they have two eyes, we only see with one. In other words, we only understand third-dimensional elements. Then you got, he's in the black and the white, which everybody knows those colors. Then you got the black triangle back here. The black triangle is an old symbol for Saturn because it's 3. It's 3. You'll see that everywhere you go. The dark side of the moon, that's what the triangle is there. It represents Saturn. The one finger, or when people make a sign like a gun with a pistol, that represents Saturn. The 4 is a cube. So all kinds of stuff in this. People never know, for the most part, that they're being had. Okay, this is why this world is screwed, because these idiots that are out there like David Icke, who's just part of the show, that says, "Oh, there's more of us than there are them. We can defeat it with love." Yeah, well, you know what? You know what love is? Love is a weakness that they've exposed in the human race. We allowed them to do that. You can be tough, but have love. But the whole love thing, has been used in a way to dumb down from a different angle. Love gets translated into, well, just accept everything, whether you like it or not, and even though you know way down deep it's wrong, just accept it, because everybody needs to get along. That's what love has become. Love for the truth doesn't exist because it's not hip, it's not politically correct. It's just love for the sake of using the word like, oh, I'm getting around and I'm so high-minded because I love and I can tolerate. You're not supposed to tolerate. You're not supposed to tolerate any of this shit. That's the main point of this. Mankind is doomed because mankind has tolerated this stuff. That's where love got you. That and being lazy fucks, being lackadaisical, not giving a shit. It is true. Most people are programmed for 2 things. They talk about work and they talk about sports. It's very hard to find people outside of that. When a guy comes home from work, what's he do? He bitches to his wife about what kind of day he had, or she complains about her day. Nobody sits down and talks about this in the church. The church should be doing this stuff. The church should have a big screen up and they should be pointing this out and saying, this is your enemy, know your enemy, and understand your enemy. They don't do any of that. All they tell you is that you're loved, don't worry about it, see you next week, don't forget to tip your pastor on the way out. That's why church is a farce. They don't even explain the Bible to you in the correct way. I knew years and years and years and years ago that when Jesus was speaking, he was speaking on a much higher level than the Bible is giving him credit for. Even though you can find that higher knowledge in the Bible, the churches won't put that out because a church is a business. It's a tax-exempt organization that works for the government. That's why it's tax-exempt. The government doesn't tax its own. And so, if you start getting into stuff like this, and because a church is a business and it creates money and it's also a control mechanism, you start running off parishioners, people that are members of the club. And when you start doing that, revenue starts dropping. Catholic churches shut down cathedrals all the time. If they become a drain on the church, it's a business thing. Nothing personal, but you got to go. Don't you remember the movie The Blues Brothers? You know, when they said we're on a mission from God, because they were saving that branch of that specific church, because this church said we're cutting you off. It's just a business. The Bible's about truth, but the church is a business. That's why it's tax exempt. See, the church should be teaching you all of this stuff that me and other people are teaching you, because that's really the truth movement. Because this is the kind of stuff that Jesus was pointing out in his day. But they don't tell you that. All they want to tell you is open your hymn book and let's sing this, and that was good. And last weekend, me and my wife went fishing, and I was thinking how wonderful it is that the Lord made fish. I mean, it's shit like that. Instead of stuff like this, where they should be saying, this is what they're doing, they're sticking it in your face, and you better learn to resist this bullshit, because there's a greater temptation and a greater deception coming than this. A box of cereal loaded with occultic information and a storyline that goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And all it would have cost, even today, if you want to go buy a box of Post Rice Krispies, you know, whatever, whoever's making that shit now, and stand there and explain to them what this is. We live in a demonic realm. We live in a demonic realm. And if you think we don't, you live in a fool's paradise. They have the fucking upper hand 100%. So just keep that in mind. That's why this shit flourishes, because we're in a garden of evil. We're not in the Garden of Eden. We're in the Garden of Evil. So everything is coded, like I said. And you're just walking around aimlessly, not knowing what you're bumping into. I do the same thing. I'm no better than you. I just see a little bit more than you do, so I'm just trying to pass it on to you. That's all that I'm doing. I'm not trying to berate anybody here. But you have to understand, we live in the Garden of Evil. We are ruled by evil. You are not ruled by good, and if you got this idea that God is going to step in and just because he can do it, he's going to, it doesn't work that way. You're the one that has to implement the difference between right and wrong. You're supposed to have the smarts to know the difference between right and wrong. These guys are going to coerce you consistently in every way, shape, and form. It's the way the game is played. And the big guy, not getting involved. Not at this point. So you're a little kid amongst a bunch of really slick poker players that are betting that you're gonna fuck up every time you make a turn. Just like with this cereal, how many moms grab this shit off here and go and say, instead of saying I ain't buying that shit because I know what that is, I know what that represents. They don't, because they don't care. These guys don't have to do anything. Everybody goes, I can't believe this stuff is all around. It's always been around. None of us are discovering anything. It's just always been here. Equate it to this. You ever buy a car and then you drive around for the first couple of days and you're like, man, I love my new car. And then you start looking around and now you start seeing that car all over the place. But you never noticed it before. It's because now for the first time you're seeing the symbol and you understand what it is. And now that's becoming apparent, hey, this symbol is everywhere. But it isn't anything new. People get astounded like, oh my God, this is everywhere. It's always been here. Confucius said the oldest language in the world is symbols. And it is. MC squared, that Einstein, that's thousands and thousands of pages of information in 5 little symbols. It's the same thing with this. It's just another language, and when you learn to speak another language, you have a better insight into what's going on. So that's it. Even something as cereal as something as innocent as a box of cereal isn't innocent. You live in the garden of evil. That's the case, and you better get it straight. Nobody's coming to help you at this time and point in history. You have your faith, and that's what you're supposed to use. So why don't you implement that